Imagine working diligently for years, pouring your effort into your career, and consistently meeting or exceeding expectations. You might even receive regular raises, yet at the end of each month you feel a growing squeeze. The cost of groceries, housing, healthcare, and everyday necessities seems to climb relentlessly, while your paycheck, despite those raises, doesn't stretch as far as it used to. This isn't just a feeling. For many, it's a harsh economic reality. Real wages are failing to keep pace with inflation. The argument is simple yet profound. If your income isn't growing at least as fast as the cost of living, you are, in effect, earning less each year. This isn't always about a company cheating its employees in a malicious sense, but rather a systemic issue where the purchasing power of labor is steadily eroding. Here's why this is a compelling and often frustrating situation for employees. 1. The illusion of raises. A 3% annual raise might sound good, but if inflation is running at 5% or more, you've actually taken a pay cut in real terms. Many workers receive nominal raises that don't reflect the true increase in living expenses. As reported by USA Facts, while nominal wages have increased, real wage growth, adjusted for inflation, has been significantly lower and at times negative. For instance, in June 2022, when inflation hit 9.1%, nominal wages grew by only 4.8%, creating a significant negative gap in purchasing power. 2. Historical disconnect. For decades, policies and economic shifts have contributed to a widening gap between productivity and pay. The Economic Policy Institute highlights how, starting in the late 1970s, policies that once ensured workers' wages grew with productivity were dismantled. This has led to a situation where, despite increased output and company profits, the benefits are not being proportionally shared with the workforce. 3 specific cost drivers. While overall inflation is a factor, certain essential sectors have seen price increases far outstripping wage growth. Housing, healthcare, and education are prime examples. A Reddit discussion pointed out that home prices, even adjusted for inflation, have risen by about 70% since 1990, while wages increased by only 17.6% in the same period, making it incredibly difficult for typical workers to afford these necessities. 4. The greed versus affordability debate. Companies often argue that they face their own rising costs and cannot afford to give larger raises without impacting profitability. However, some arguments suggest that companies prioritize profit margins and shareholder returns over employee compensation, even when profits are strong. A discussion on Reddit's Our Work Reform highlights the common sentiment that companies increase their prices in line with inflation, but offer staff much lower pay raises, leading to questions of whether it's truly a matter of inability to pay or a lack of willingness. 5. Weakening worker power. The decline in unionization, changes in labor laws, and a globalized workforce have weakened the bargaining power of individual workers. This makes it harder for employees to demand wages that truly reflect their value and the rising cost of living, leaving them vulnerable to the silent erosion of their purchasing power. In essence, many employees feel trapped in a cycle where their hard work doesn't translate into a proportional improvement in their quality of life. They are constantly running to stand still, or even falling behind as the purchasing power of their salary is silently eaten away by inflation. This creates a compelling and often frustrating argument for why current wage trends are failing the average worker.